Welcome back. We're back here. It's going to rain for a few days, so I'm like half awake, but that's okay. Maybe I'll slow down when I talk or something. Last week I was kind of like talking a mile a minute. Again, we provide these reflection videos. We started doing this during the pandemic when the lockdowns were happening, and we got a lot of views. We incorporated them into all of our faith formation and catechetical programs, and now we just continue to do them as a service to the parish and anybody else. So if you like the videos, please comment, please hit the like button and subscribe to the parish page. We have a few things coming up, but I would imagine that over the next months and years our media use will probably increase. And so we're happy to have these spread around. But we are in Western New York and Finger Lakes, and it's beautiful, but it's raining, and there we go. We're reading the readings now for Trinity Sunday. We're back in ordinary time during the week, and we just left the wonderful Feast of Pentecost, where in our parish here we had, I think, a number of we celebrated Christian initiation. We had 2 of our students from school, and we had a First Communion, a couple First Communions. Well, not including the other guys that were just coming in and girls who were coming into the parish, but we had really a very lively, wonderful Christian initiation weekend, both on Easter and most recently last weekend on Pentecost. So we're very happy, and we're always really wonderful to do that work. All right, Teresa's going to read the Gospel reading for Trinity Sunday, which comes from John, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to John. Jesus said to his disciples, "I have much more to tell you, but you cannot bear it now. But when he comes, the Spirit of truth, he will guide you to all truth. He will not speak on his own, but he will speak what he hears, and will declare to you the things that are coming. He will glorify me, because he will take from what is mine and declare it to you. Everything that the Father has is mine. For this reason I told you that he will take from what is mine and declare it to you." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. In some sense, it's interesting because we have Trinity Sunday coming up, and this reading is really Jesus talking about the Holy Spirit. But he talks about it in a kind of the Father did this, I did this, and the Spirit will do this when he comes to you, guide you into all truth. It's one of these really beautiful things. It's very descriptive. The Spirit's job is to guide us. The Paraclete, it's an advocate. It's somebody who brings us together, gives us power. And power is one of those things we don't think about very much. I may have mentioned this a couple times on here, but the power of the Holy Spirit is a perfecting power. It's a power that builds up. It's an incorruptible power. And a lot of times I think very good Christian people avoid the concept of power because they see earthly power and its destructions, whether it's talking about Vladimir Putin or some other abuser that they may know in their own life or you hear about in the papers, or some victims or victims or perpetrators of mass shootings and things that are going on in the world. You see these horrifying desolations of power. They're just, that's a better way to put it in some sense, because it's just empty. It's very sad. And we avoid it, and we see political power. We see people, complain about politicians because we say that we need more, we need better leadership, and then people who are good leaders look at the world and I wouldn't want to do that, And we have a real challenge when it comes to authority and power. Then when we get authority, we tend to abuse it. We tend to use it for the wrong purposes. And Jesus' whole teaching is based on, if you would be great, if you want power and authority, you must be least. You must work to lift others up rather than make yourself own authority be felt in people. We do it as a family. We do it there's priests who do it. There's deacons who do it. There's lay people who get involved in their ministries and do it. I'm not looking at Teresa at all, because everybody here is wonderful. But it's a possibility. It's a potential. Human authority, once you get to a certain level, has a tendency to proclaim itself. You can think about it in a way when if this is a very stupid and silly example, but it's the only one I can think of right now. If my whole goal is to paint everything in town blue, and we just do it, we figure out where we want everything to be blue, even the blades of grass, everything's blue, the roads are blue, the trees are blue, the houses are blue, everything's blue. We're going to make everything blue. Everybody has to wear blue. And in our geographical center that we decide everything has to be blue, it will take a long time to do. And I dedicate my life to making everything blue. What do I do after I'm done? When that becomes my life, what do I do when I'm done? It ends up being, okay, now we're going to change to green because I still have to maintain my power. We're going to change to green now. Everything's blue now. Let's live with it for a couple weeks and pat ourselves on our back. And we're going to talk about how great I am because I accomplished this. But now I'm done. I have to either fade away or I have to say, I was wrong. Now it should be green. Silly example, but I think you get the idea. Because this happens all the time in the world. We end up getting in situations where we have to not perpetuate the good of building up a community, but my own goals and objectives, my own authority, my own relevance has to be maintained and protected. So I have to keep changing the colors of things. I suppose that makes sense. But we see that. But God's power is not like that. God's power comes to Teresa, to me, to Amy, to the other people who work here, the people who worship here, the people throughout the world. God's power and the Holy Spirit in His grace comes to us that we might be fuller, broader, bigger, more completed, more whole versions of ourselves, and that our community might become together, that it might be made one. And it might be made one. The other thing we think about when it comes to the Trinity, I know I'm talking about the Holy Spirit, but that's where the reading goes. But when we talk about the Trinity, we use the word mystery. And here's the thing with mystery. I wrote it in the bulletin this week, but you have two kinds of mystery. One mystery is the normal use of the word mystery, which is we lack some key thing to understand it. And until we find that key thing or have someone smart enough to figure something else out, we really can't understand it. Every once in a while with that MH370, the plane that went in the Indian Ocean there, you have somebody who comes along and says, I can track it using the interruption to the latest one was the guy tracked it using the interruption to the ham radio signals or something like that. Let me know if I'm completely off, but I think that's what it was. And he says, I know where it is. And and he can kind of figure out because he's looked at all of this data and everything. And if they don't find it, then someone else will come along and say, I think I can find it. At some point, they're going to go down there and there's not going to be anything left. But the reality is that when we have a mystery like that, we just need some other piece of information that will clear up things for us, that will show us how what it means. That's a fun's not the right word when you're dealing with some horrible tragedy, but that's kind of good. We love thinking about it. We love trying to piece things together, puzzles. We love it. It's kind of natural. Cats like puzzle games and things like that too. So we have that kind of in our world. But a theological mystery is a mystery in a very different sense. And it is, we can't understand it because it's too much. It's too big. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit we're surrounded. We are surrounded by the Father and Son and the Holy Spirit. It's everywhere, and it's so everywhere, and it's so abundantly present to us, this mystery, that we just don't have the faculties here to get the whole of it. We don't have it. We can't. But it's not because we lack something. And we see a lot of criticisms of Christians who will say this Father, Son, Holy Spirit stuff is ridiculous, and of course it's not. It's a foolish criticism, because you could say to the person, and this is Fulton Sheen's thing, liquid water, ice, and steam are all H2O, but ice is not liquid water. Liquid water is not steam. it's extraordinarily analogous to the Trinity in a small way. We have experience with people in our lives, both being my mother is my mother is my aunt's sister. So the same woman, 3 different relational names to it, but they're the same person. So we have experience with that kind of thing with the Trinity. The mystery of the Trinity is a mystery because it's so grand, it's so big, it's so overflowing, and some we just can't get it all. St. John Henry Newman said it's similar to being able, a theological mystery, and I think he was actually talking about the Trinity if my memory serves. He said a mystery is like being somebody who knows London extremely well, knows where every restaurant is, every theater, every cafe, knows the name of every street, and yet when asked to draw a map, they can't do it. They can't remember every tree, every monument, everything. But with each passing day, their ability to draw the map would improve. And that's what we're called to, and when we're dealing with a mystery like that. We're not called to, well, it's a mystery, so we can never figure it out, so don't try. That's the opposite of what we're called to in a theological mystery. It is our duty and our ability to apprehend more of the mystery every day. And that's the right word, to grasp it. Not to understand it, but to grasp it, to hold on it, to apprehend it. It's a very John Henry Newman word, but to say it of the mystery, I can see that today that I couldn't see the other day. Some of you will think that when you hear one of these analogies I've made. Some of you will think that when you're walking around, but you have God the Father, and we say Creator. So when you see trees and beautiful things in nature and music and things like that, you hear things in the created order. When you think of God, the Son, the Redeemer, the Savior, you think of your need for Him. You think of what He taught us. The first will be last and the last will be first. You think of the way He taught us to be perfected in power. And then the flame of love itself in the Holy Spirit comes to us, makes its dwelling within us, that we might participate in the life of God. We might become related to God, that we might do that. That power comes to us to make us Christian people, to make us participants in His life. So I think we'll leave it at that. There certainly is enough. Every priest in every parish, and they all try to avoid preaching on Trinity Sunday because they don't like explaining it, and there's nothing to be afraid of. We've heard this, it's impossible to explain for so long, but we believe it in the wrong way. It's impossible to explain because we don't have time or ability to grasp the whole of it. But whatever we can grasp today, we can grasp maybe different or more tomorrow. And our hope is that by the time we go to Him, that we have grasped more and more and more and more of it. It is not an invitation to stop reflecting on the Trinity. It's an invitation to start and to continue. So please keep that in mind. If you don't hear me say anything else about the Trinity in my whole life, look for it. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. You can see it all over the place. And we can spend more time talking about that maybe some other time later this year too. So thank you very much, and enjoy the nice weather if you have it where you are, and enjoy the rain if you have it where you are. All of it's good and necessary and beautiful, and keep prayers going. Do not stop praying for people, especially if you can't physically do things for people. Make sure that you're offering prayer for us and for the whole world, people in Ukraine, people in Russia who are suffering terribly, and the people throughout the world who are feeling the deleterious effects of this misuse of power, that God's power may come to us in the persons of Father, Son, and Holy Spirit to make us truly and completely whole. And may that be a good prayer for us this week. Take care.